Happy Monday. Today, what I'm going to talk about is how you know that you are in a role that's not aligned with who you are as an executive. I see this day in and day out. I work with a lot of clients, at this point, over 1,000. And I can tell within 5 minutes, just by talking to someone, if they're not happy in the role that they're in and if there's more that they can do. So, I want to talk about the signs to help you understand if you are in a career that's not aligned with who you are, if you are in a role that's not aligned with who you are. So here's the first sign. Maybe you are in a situation where you've been trying to explore other opportunities because you have this gut feeling that you could be doing something that's more exciting. And so you've been told to start over, and part of you almost believes that that's what you need to do in order to be happier or even progress in your career. So I had a client and a recruiter told her that she needs to take a step down. A hiring manager said to her that she's not quite ready for the next level. A consulting company that she interviewed with asked her to start at the analyst level, which is ridiculous, even though she's been operating 2 levels above her peers. And the scariest part isn't that they said it, it's that a small voice inside her thought that maybe they're right. And hey, maybe that is what's going on for you. Others are telling you that you're not meant for more, and they're misreading you. And you've been around it for so long that you've started coping, you've created a coping mechanism and suppressed that version of you who believes that you can do more. Let's talk about the second sign. When someone asks you what you do, it comes out the wrong way. You know that you're exceptional. Deep down, you know that. But every time you try to say it out loud in an interview, at a networking event, on a call, it comes out so generic and watered down. And you stop trusting yourself and relying on ChatGPT to tell you what's exceptional about you. And it's crazy because you're the kind of person who can go into a room with the C-level and persuade them and align teams across organizations. But when it comes to talking about yourself, it's very difficult and it's scattered and it comes out making you sound so small. You sound like everyone else when you're nothing like everyone else. One of my clients had built and shut down companies across multiple countries. When a CTO asked him, "What are you good at?" he froze and said, "I can do anything. What do you need me to do?" He didn't even have a language problem. He had a self-perception problem. Nobody had ever helped him organize his story into chapters so he can pull out the right ones at the right time. Let me know if that is you. I'm curious. Type 2 if this resonates, that when someone asks you what you do, it comes out wrong every time. Sign number 3, you call yourself a jack of all trades because nobody ever named your one thing. Hi, Mark. How's it going? So if that is you and you are a jack of all trades, I want you to type 3. Does this sound familiar? Maybe you've done so many things well that you've started to believe that you're not great at anything in particular. You say, "I wear a lot of hats," or "I'm versatile," or "I'm a generalist." That's not exactly true. That's you surrendering. One of my clients managed 50 people for 17 years in healthcare technology and called herself a jack of all trades, master of none. She wasn't a generalist. When her and I sat down and looked at what she is great at, We realize the combination of what she's great at translated to a product operations leader who'd partnered with the C-suite to try to drive legacy to cloud modernization. She couldn't see the thread because she was too close to it. And the thing is, it's not there's no such thing as having too many skills, right? In this day and age, you need a combination of skills to actually be able to deliver a specific outcome. You have one genius. And the thing is, nobody has ever named it for you. You can't even put words to it. And that's why you are struggling. So let me know in the chat if you identify with the jack of all trades. Sign number 4. Sign number 4 of you not being in the right career. And when I say not in the right career, you might be in a career that's actually really great on paper, but you know that you could do a lot more. You know that you could add 50,000 to 100,000 to your salary. And this is a sign that it's possible. Here it is. Sign number 4. You're hiding parts of yourself that are actually your biggest qualifications. You've dimmed yourself down. Maybe you took credentials off of your LinkedIn. Maybe you don't mention certain experiences because you think they don't fit the clean narrative. Maybe you downplay your nonlinear career because the industry told you it's a liability. I had a client who removed her medical background from her profile. Like, I know that we're not targeting, a medical or she's not looking to continue to be a doctor. But she thought that she had to remove that part of her career, that history, because she's been conditioned to shrink. Another client of mine had 12 years in humanitarian work, and she thought that that didn't count just because she was pivoting to tech. That thing that she thought didn't count was actually what helped her land at Meta. The thing is, the things you're hiding, the messy career, the unconventional path, the experiences that don't fit in a box, those are the things that make you impossible to replace. You just need someone to show you why. So let me know in the chat if you're hiding parts of yourself or you've done things in your career that maybe a while ago that you feel are not relevant. I was talking to someone today and he shared with me that earlier in his career, he built a business and he was helping his parents with his business. And then he got into software development. He became a senior software engineer and he removed all of the stuff that he did in his business when it could really elevate him because, having that business knowledge can open doors, right? And in many ways, when I asked him, why did he even get into software engineering? He said to me because his parents, said either doctor, engineer, or failure. And so he never really followed what he wanted to do. And that was so that led him to do work that doesn't even bring him joy. And then he felt like he had to remove all the things that brought him joy in his career early on. It's quite crazy when that happens. Absolutely, experiences of family businesses can be counted. In fact, one of my clients who landed at Amazon owned his own business, multiple businesses. And because we were able to articulate that so clearly, he ended up landing at Amazon. When you are a business owner, you bring in so many skills that are very valuable. Like, what do you think? The skills that made you successful building a business, you're bringing them over into another business that is much bigger if you go into corporate. So absolutely, you should not hide those experiences. Sign number 5, you're exhausted from constantly proving you belong. This is the one that nobody talks about. You've paid your dues for years, maybe decades, and you're still walking into every room feeling like you need to prove yourself all over again. every interview, every meeting, every new team, you're starting from zero. That exhaustion isn't burnout from working too hard. It's burnout from explaining yourself over and over and over again and feeling like you have to prove yourself over and over again. It's exhausting. Okay. I have fabulous clients at the director, VP level. They've managed multiple businesses. They've, saved companies millions. And then they have to sit on a call and deal with a recruiter who's so ignorant about what they've done and fight with them about how they're qualified for a role that they're frankly overqualified for. And of course, that's going to burn you out. And then you tell yourself, well, what's my other option? Staying where I'm at, where I feel miserable. No wonder people don't have the motivation to put themselves out there and to apply for roles. The problem is honestly the way you're positioning yourself. Some of the signs that I shared earlier are a reason why you're being underestimated. The thing is, people outside of your organization don't really know you. And if you're removing relevant things that could actually help someone on the outside understand the value that you bring to the table, then of course you're going to be underestimated. And here's the thing that I want you to hear. You shouldn't have to prove yourself this hard. The problem isn't that you haven't earned it. The problem is the way that you're showing up, your story, your positioning, how the world encounters you. It just doesn't match who you actually are. You're blindly following all of this tactical advice on keywords and bots that you've forgotten who you are. Okay? So until that gap closes, you will keep proving and proving and proving and never achieving or finding or attracting that role that you actually deserve. So these are the 5 signs that you're in a career that doesn't quite fit. Okay? I'd love to know which one of these 5 signs you identify with. Drop for me in the chat, which one you identify with. You don't have to write it all out. This is going to help me understand, who's listening and what seems to be a match. If it's you've been told to start over, maybe you're trying to, move careers, you're trying to make a pivot and you've been exploring that because you're bored, you've outgrown what you've been doing, it became just too easy. But when you try to make that pivot, you're being told that you need to start over, which is ridiculous because your skills are transferable, especially as a leader. So type for me 1 if you fit into that category. The second one, when someone asks you what you do, it comes out wrong every time that you explain what you do. So type 2 if you resonate with that. Type 3, if you call yourself a jack of all trades because nobody ever helped you understand where you fit in. So it's like, I don't know, when I was in consulting, I had no idea what I was good at. And the safest thing that I could call myself was consultant. But when I dug deep, I realized that what I love doing is helping organizations navigate change. So I did have a specialty. But as someone who helps organizations navigate change, of course, I was great at many things. So you can be great at many things and you can still fit into a category. And until you figure out how to label what you do, people are just not going to understand where you fit in. And it's going to be very difficult to help you get matched with the right opportunities that are $200,000, $300,000 and above. So type 3, if you call yourself a jack of all trades. Type 4, if you've taken things out of your resume or your LinkedIn profile because you think that what you've done in the past doesn't matter or isn't relevant. Type 4, if that's you. Type 5, if you're so exhausted. Combination of 2 and 3 for me. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that a lot of you fit into multiple of these buckets. I see that in a lot of my clients. Some people tell me, "Oh my God, every single one, that's me." Right? Um, type 5, or sorry, did we say type 4? Yeah, if you feel that some of the stuff that you've done in the past is not relevant, you've done it a long time ago, even though you've enjoyed, those roles, but you feel like you should remove it from your resume. So type 4, if that's you. Type 5, this one is the most important one. Type 5, if you're so exhausted from constantly proving yourself, if you're constantly feeling like you have to explain yourself to recruiters who keep arguing with you and telling you that you're not qualified for these roles, even though you know that you meet all these requirements, you know you've done all of the things that they're asking for, and you're so tired of that because you've paid your dues. You have created amazing impact at organizations, years, maybe decades of experience, and you still feel that when you're walking into these rooms, whether they are networking rooms, recruiter rooms, interview rooms, you feel like you need to prove yourself all over again, even though you've done the work. I am very curious how many people fit into this bucket. Number 5. Okay, so what do we do about this? What do we do about this? Well, let me tell you a story. I had a client who started working with me, I will say around October, and she landed a director level offer. Let me put something in perspective here, right? This client added $70,000 to her previous salary. So in 5 months, she added $70,000 on top of her previous salary. Now, how did we make that happen? When she came to me, I noticed just by talking to her that she really should be at the director level. She did a lot of amazing work in the US, and I could just tell by talking to her that she was good at what she does. And it's kind of weird because sometimes what happens is the missing information, okay, is what helps me figure out that there's something wrong with someone's career. And what I also noticed is that she was too afraid to go after what she really deserved, because at her organization where she was at, she had a boss that was just not very appreciative of what she was doing, not giving her the recognition. So I froze there for a second. So that kind of almost like created a lack of confidence that she could go higher. The other thing that she shared with me is she had tried to apply for jobs for a whole year and she wasn't getting any interviews. And so that made her believe that maybe I'm not capable. The thing is, the skills that you use to get a job are different than the skills that you use to be good at your job. True story. Let us say you are a director of product, or you should be a director of product. The skills that you use when it comes to discovery, when it comes to understanding, customer requirements, are different than the skills that are required to be able to actually communicate your own value. And the funny thing is, I have worked with leaders in marketing who are great at marketing products, But when it comes to marketing themselves, they struggle, because the thing is, when you're inside the jar, it's very, very difficult to see outside of the label. And I find that leaders are really amazing. Executives are amazing at advocating for other people, but they're not great always when it comes to talking about themselves or advocating for themselves. And that's a paradox that I've seen. So, with this individual, the first thing we did was we got very clear on her mastery and what she's great at. This isn't about title. This is about looking at the combination of skills that you utilize in your job that that no one really has, that you can do better than everyone else, and being able to go narrow and translate it to opportunities that are out there. Listen, the reason people struggle when it comes to figuring out what the right roles are for them is because companies have poor classifications of jobs. Titles are not always a reflection of what a role entails, and every company calls a role differently. So it gets very confusing to everyone. And so the process that I use with all of my clients is we forget about the titles. Okay. We forget about your title right now and your level, and we forget about the titles that are out there. And what we focus on is what you've actually been able to accomplish in order to figure out what your niche is. And so with this individual, we did that. And then what we do is we help you create a new identity around where you want to be based on your zone of genius. So the thing is, in the role that she was in, she was like operating completely outside of her job description. And her boss was profiting so much from that and underpaying her. So what we ended up doing was we did the mapping between, the value that she was bringing to her current organization and what that could translate to outside that would actually pay her a ton of money. And once we figured that out and articulated that and provided her the process in terms of her job search and how recruiters think and their psychology and how she needs to communicate, with recruiters and hiring managers, she ended up landing that director level offer and adding $70,000 to her previous salary. A lot of this is you need a structure and a process to be successful, because what you're going through when you are making a career transition is a transformation. And any type of transformation has multiple steps. And in order to achieve any goal in life, you need accountability. And so her and I worked together to create that accountability. She also got a system so that she's not, doing all the wrong things. But the biggest thing was helping her understand herself better. A lot of you haven't had the opportunity to sit down with someone who asks you about your entire career and what you've done and helps you connect the dots. And this is why it makes it very difficult for you. And when you're busy at work and you have 10 things on your plate and you don't have that focus time to work on it, it becomes very overwhelming. So then you give up on the idea and you don't, execute on it. You don't have that roadmap. You don't have that process that you can adhere to. So you're all over the place. One day you're going to click on the easy apply and send your resume because you're frustrated, or you end up going on a company website and talking to a recruiter AI bot and having a conversation with them, and nothing gets done, right? It's almost like if you're trying to lose weight and go on YouTube, follow a couple exercises, you don't even know if those exercises are the right thing for you. And then you just give up and say, I'm never going to lose weight. Screw this. I'm not going to do it. Right. versus working with a trainer who designs a personalized plan for you that has been tested and that works. And then you have no choice but to stick to it because that trainer is waiting for you. You're not going to bail on them, right? And so if you are in a place where you're frustrated, maybe your company went through a reorg and there have been layoffs, and you know deep down inside that you're next, or you feel like a zombie, you're showing up to work, you're on autopilot, and you dread, going to work, or you just know that you're being underpaid. Maybe they've been promising you for a promotion and they've been telling you every year that it's going to happen, and they haven't increased your salary. And you know that, again, you should be making a change, but you've been shying away from it. You've been terrified, and you just feel stuck because you don't know how else to get out of the situation. If I've described you in some shape or form, there is help out there. I'm opening up my calendar. It's the end of the month. Okay. I'm opening up my calendar. We can have a conversation. We can create a plan. And hey, if it makes sense, we'll work together. If not, that's okay too. So, how do you book the call? Very simple. Let me see if I can share my screen. So, if you go on my LinkedIn profile, you will see a button that says book an appointment. I'm going to show you where to find it. And yes, you are absolutely right. The interview process is broken. You know what else is broken? Applying for insurance. Tell you guys a little story. I was diagnosed with migraines, if you guys don't know, last year. Terrible. At this point, I have chronic migraines. So I was talking to my neurologist today because we were trying to switch to different types of medication. And one of the drug providers, they have some kind of process that they help you through it, and they have a little bit of a rebate. So my neurologist signed me up for it, and then when I went to log in, it gave me an error telling me that it was the wrong birth date or something. It's ridiculous. It's like I have to jump through hoops to deal with anything, or insurance claims, or any of that stuff. Listen, any process that requires some kind of adjudication or approval is bureaucratic. You have to complete the process correctly in order to be selected. And so the interview process is an evaluation process. Whether you like it or not, we're not going to beat around the bush. It is an evaluation process. And so you need to go about it the right way. If you don't go about it the right way, then you're going to get rejected, and you're going to get frustrated, and you're going to end up wasting a lot of time. And so you need to work with a professional who helps you understand the process and how to go about it so that you don't end up wasting time. All right. So hopefully this is helpful. For some reason, I can't even go into my LinkedIn profile. Let me see if I can. Wow. Talk about process and glitches. Anyway, friends, if you want to talk to me, you can just send me a DM, and I can share with you the link to book the career diagnosis with me if you can't find it. Or you can just click on my profile and hit the book appointment button. What's going to happen is it's going to take you to this website. So I'll just do a quick screen share here to show you how to find the website. So this is how you can book the career diagnosis. You'll see this video. I invite you to watch it. I share my story in this video, and there are a few clients who also share their stories. you can click on this button, book your career diagnosis, and it's going to take you through a set of quick questions that only take 2 minutes to complete. This will help me understand your situation in depth, right? I'm a very thorough person, and it's very important for me to understand your situation in order to help you. Like if you go to a doctor, they're not going to just, I mean, a good doctor, they're not going to just prescribe, medication or treat you without understanding your symptoms, right? They may order blood tests, they may, do some diagnostics. So I ask you these questions for me to understand your situation. And once you fill this out, it's going to give you options to book a 15-minute call with me where we can chat and I can help you understand what's blocking you. Okay? I hope you have a wonderful Monday. I hope this has been helpful. Just remember, you're amazing at what you do. Don't ever let anyone make you feel that way. And sometimes it's just how life is. I don't know if any of you have watched the movie Pretty Woman. You know that scene where she initially walks into the store and no one was helping her? They were totally, how do I say this? Like dismissing her. And then the second time she walks back into the store and she's all dressed up, everyone wants to work with her and she tells them, big mistake. I was here before and you didn't help me, right? So sometimes it's just about presenting yourself differently in order to get those opportunities. And that's my goal, for you to be like Pretty Woman, where you walk into the store again and you tell them, big mistake. I accepted another offer and it's way better than the one that you initially, came to me with. Okay, have a wonderful Monday and I'll talk to you soon. Do me a favor, if you enjoyed this, please like this video. It is going to help a lot of people. And, when you like the video, what happens is it goes into someone's feed, someone who is maybe having a bad day and needed this advice. That'll help them a lot. And wouldn't it be wonderful for us to help more people and arm them with the right information? Have a wonderful night, and I'll talk to you soon.